the sun, the fields are alive. Cheering crowds and the teams collide. In these moments, we stand tall and free. First pride runs deep in me. With every touchdown, we rise and we cheer. Unity and spirit, the heart of the year. Raise your voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zone to go, football and cheers make our spirits roll. Girls in the game, they're fierce and bright. Flag in hand, they give it their might. From every town they bring their dreams. On this field of gold, nothing's as it seems. Together we shine, together we play. In Florida's heart, we own this day. Raise your voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zones go, football and cheers make our spirits grow. So here's to the game, we'll rise and stand. In Florida's field, we're a giant band.
All right, welcome to this edition of the North Central Florida Blitz here as we come to you here live on this Wednesday night here. And Chris, here we go.
Yeah, like I said.
Let's see. Tonight is brought to you by the letter M. Malin, Middleburg, Mike Ridaught, Main Street Daily News. Oh, wow. Chris has got, we like. Chris, you already got a fan club going.
Yes, I see that.
Well, we definitely welcome everybody here to the show here as we roll along here in our with the North Central edition of the Blitz, and a lot to get to here over the next 30 minutes or so. And we got Mark Cannon is here too. Yes, Mark Cannon fan club is here too. So and there's Noli now. Noli is saying that M makes sense. So yes, indeed it does. And we definitely appreciate everybody being here and all that. And we're definitely talking about everything that's going on with this football air in the Sunshine State. And boy, let's get right into it here with the Blitz Lines, Chris. And boy, a lot that happened in North Central Florida here. And as we talk about some of the games that we have dealt with here from our pick six last week, Lafayette 37, Suwannee 30. OMG. A lot of people did not think that would happen, but let me go back to our sheet from last week here, and I can tell you something here.
Count me as one of them that didn't see this one coming.
And the forecasted line called for Lafayette to win this game,
which confuses the hell out of me.
Sorry, I got to get the camera to refocus. I don't know what the camera is doing. There we go. It's not focusing on me properly. There we go. But yeah, no, Lafayette, it was Tawan Williamson, 117 yards rushing on 20 carries, completing 7 of 18 passes for 162 yards and 2 touchdowns. And they edged the Bulldogs by 7 points. And Swannee's now off to an 0-2 start. Lafayette won. Lafayette's 2-0. Sorry, Lafayette's 2-0, not 1-1. I apologize. Somehow I got that wrong, the number wrong down in there. But gosh, it was a back and forth there at Dale Walker Field there in Live Oak, and man, oh man, and Ellis Hall picked Mayo. Hey, yes, you did. I remember that last week, but I took Lafayette, Reno took Lafayette, but Chris took Suwannee, and well, I mean, ooh, yeah, and boy, oh boy.
Yeah, that one definitely surprised me.
Oh, absolutely. Baker County 14, Chiefland 0. Yeah, we're going to need that horn for a few minutes on that one, because that was one game where we just all got wrong on that one. And Chiefland came out on the goose egg side of the scoreboard, and the visiting Wildcats scored 7 points in the first quarter, had 7 more in the fourth. And as they host out, they shut out Chiefland, and Chiefland now 1-1 on the season. And boy, oh boy, it's not pretty. And with that for the Indians here, especially after putting up 36 the week before that.
Yeah, and Baker County, good for them on getting the victory. But I think the question mark is now Chiefland. You know, I mean, where do we go from here with Chiefland?
No, absolutely. I don't know. We'll see what happens here this week here, and let me see. I can pull it up here real quick here on the sheet to my right, and because it's not on our picks this week, so I can tell you that Chiefland Bellevue is Chiefland's hosting Bellevue, and a pretty heavy favorite there in that game. But we'll see what happens there and go from there. But as we roll along here, Chris, another game that was a hot topic: Hawthorne 32, Newberry 7. The Hornets just rolled through Newberry, not the classic like it was last year where it went to overtime. Hawthorne just totally annihilated the Panthers.
Yeah, Newberry's having a tough time, and it's showing. That seems like they're in for a long season. Hawthorne, Nathan Jennings going 55 off of a charge and intercepted a pass on a 55-yard return in that game.
Yeah, I mean, Nathan Jennings just again dominating Messiah Gent and Lonkey Jackson also getting interceptions as well and making plays. And Hawthorne just controlled both sides of the ball. And at the end of the day, it was not much of a contest. But with that said, what was a contest was Columbia beating Coffee out of Georgia 20-14. Cameron Mills returned an interception for 41 yards for a touchdown, and also had 41 yards rushing and 4 carries, and the Tigers held off the visiting Trojans from Douglas, Georgia, and they pretty much led the entire game.
Yeah, that's another one that I had my head scratched. I think I was the only one that took Coffee in that.
Yeah, I took Columbia, and Reno took Columbia, but it was what the forecast was calling Coffee by 3, so we were expecting a close game. Obviously, the end result was 7 points in favor of Columbia here, but Tigers get a huge win, and Columbia is headed down to Tampa this week to play Hillsboro, two of the oldest programs in the state going at it again once more. Columbia won that game last year, projected to most likely win this game here this week again. Hillsboro on their struggles, Yeah, the forecast is calling for Columbia to win big at Hillsboro, but we'll see what happens Friday night. Bradford, how about this? The Tornadoes, 35-0 over Dunellen. Second straight shutout for the Tornadoes. And Cy Cubbage, 3 for 3 touchdowns as the visiting Tornadoes dominated Dunellen. And gosh, I mean, it's impressive what Jamie Rogers and his staff has done, and I think Bradford has had more shutouts the last 3 years under Jamie Rogers than I can count.
Yeah, Bradford, like you said, 2 shutouts in this season, 2-0. We'll talk about that more with Mike Ridaught here shortly. But I'm really impressed with Bradford and what they've done this year.
No, absolutely here. And then coming up after this, we're also another game we'll talk with Mike Ridaught about is Vero Beach and Buchholz. Vero Beach 28, Buchholz 24, and Vero Beach scores with 30 seconds left in the game clock and wins this game. Vero Beach actually led most of the game. Buchholz took a lead late, thought they were going to win the game, but Vero Beach says, not so fast, my friends. And senior quarterback Ephraim Wright, an FSU commit, completed 18 to 24 passes, 321, 3 touchdowns. Oh, geez, yeah. OMG, indeed. Talk about the team. Andrew Whittemore. How about this? Andrew Whittemore for Buchholz, 17 to 25, 179, and a touchdown. That is the coach's son for head coach Mark Whittemore, but it wasn't enough for the Buchholz Bobcats to win.
Yeah, we talked to Vero Beach last week, and we talked with them, and we knew they were aiming at this game and pointing out they showed up. And Vero Beach, they're on a roll, and I think they're going to continue to be on a roll for the foreseeable future.
Absolutely here. And with that said here, we got one more item of business to take care of here as we roll through this. And how about this? The North Central Florida Player of the Week, week number 1, Jadence Kennedy of the Villages is our North Central Florida Blitz Player of the Week for week number 1, and went 6-9 for 176 and 4 touchdowns in that 53-0 win over Wildwood to start off the 2025 season. So congratulations for Jadence Kennedy of the Villages, as the Villages are now 2-0 in the season, and they're headed up to South Lake. We talked about that in the Central Florida Blitz here, but a couple shows ago. But yeah, we got a great interview coming up here, Chris, with Mike Ridaught.
Yeah, looking forward to hearing this one. And yeah, Mike's a very good guy for the Main Street Daily News. So.
No, absolutely. By the way, Emery, I apologize. I saw your question at the end of the last show. It's about was that the first time I ever interviewed my alma mater? And then coach, yes. In terms of before the shows, yes. I've not interviewed the coach before at my alma mater in years past. They were doing all this. So, yeah, man. Oh man. Yep, indeed. All right, we're gonna take a 2-minute timeout, and then we'll come back and we'll have Mike Ridaught on for the interview portion of the Blitz here, the North Central Florida Blitz. We'll be right back right after this.
Box Out gives you the ability to create graphics at the speed of sports to highlight your athletic department, teams, and student athletes in seconds. Used and trusted by Notre Dame, Ohio State, UConn, Marquette, Georgetown, and many more of the top college brands in the country. If you want your school's brand to stand out through all the clutter, start your free demo at boxoutsports.com.
Touchdown! Juggled and caught!
I've been thinking about this for a long time. I thought, if that's out there, I want to make sure I see it and I get involved in it, because to me, this was music to my ears. I was blown away. When you look at today's kid, the millennium kid, they learn by being able to see it. If I can see it, there's a great chance that I can do it. First Down Playbook is a tool that can essentially change the way we teach the game.
All right, welcome back here to the North Central Florida edition of the Blitz here as we come to you on this Wednesday evening here as we go into week number 3. And along with myself, Joshua Wilson, Christopher Like, we're bringing in Mike Ridaught, the sports director of Main Street Daily News based in Gainesville. And Mike, oh man, it is already a hot start, I should say, for the season already. I mean, technically, if you look at it, if you're a Sunshine State Athletic Association, you're 3 weeks in. FHA, you're 2 weeks into the season here, and it really is interesting so far what we've seen here so far. And I got to say, what so far through these first couple of weeks here, what have been the biggest surprises here in terms of what we were seeing in North Central Florida?
No hurricanes.
That I actually give bad props to, because you know what, this time last year what we were dealing with, a hurricane.
I mean, it's been again, we're only 2 games in, so it's hard to say, because you've got teams like Newberry, which is surprisingly 0-2, even though they went on the road and lost to a pretty decent University Christian team in Jacksonville. They lost to Hawthorne. And I think that probably tells us more about Hawthorne, the fact that, hey, they're back. They're looking for their 6th straight state championship game appearance, even though they've got a young team. It looks like CI's group is ready to challenge for another state championship. I think Buchholz has proven, even though they are 1-1, they lost to a really good Vero Beach team, which was ranked as high as number 2 in the state in Class 7A. They lost with 30 seconds to play in the game. They actually kicked a field goal, Buchholz did, with a minute and a half to play to go up 3, and it looked like that was, in fact, their first lead of the game. It looked like they were going to win that game, and they've been able to do it without wide receiver Kill McGriff. He's been out injured the last couple of weeks. So I think for me, that's the biggest things, is the fact that Buchholz and Hawthorne are right back where they started. You know, Buchholz is looking for their 5th straight state semifinal appearance. And as I mentioned, Hawthorne looking for their 6th straight state championship game appearance.
I mean, it really is say that. I mean, you bring up several teams right there in terms of Buchholz and Hawthorne, but Newberry slided 0-2. I think Newberry starting off 0-2 was kind of surprising, considering after coming off a district title winning season last year. That was stunning. But when we're looking at it, if we go north, because I believe Columbia is part of your coverage area, Columbia's off to a 2-0 start, and they got a big win over Coffee. The return of Mike Coe to Florida for a hot second. And Columbia took advantage of everything. So I mean, when you start looking at some of these teams, I think like there's some improvements from some teams, but we're seeing a regression on some other teams here.
Yeah, I think it's too early to say that Florida State is back, even though they had a big win against Alabama. But I don't think it's too early to say that this Columbia football team is back, because they put it on Live Oak Suwannee in the first game of the year, scored 42 points. And then, as you mentioned, they beat that team, I think out of Douglas, Georgia, Coffee, last week. Even though it's just a 1-score game, anytime you go up against teams from the Peach State, it's always going to be a tough matchup. So they've got Hillsborough and Tampa this coming week. We'll see if the trend can continue. But I think Columbia has a chance to make some noise this year in their classification.
You look at Gainesville High; they come off a good one over the last couple of weeks. Talk about Gainesville and see how and what you expect from them this year.
Well, Gainesville actually lost their quarterback, who transferred over to Eastside High School, Nelson Tamling. So I think the fact that they were able to go on the road and win their first game against Audrey Rogers, out of Naples. Aubrey Rogers. I had never even heard of the program, to be
new school
before the year started. They lost at Davenport. I don't know much about Davenport. They do go to Crystal River, so that's going to be a good test, because then they got Lecanto for district game the week after that. The thing about Gainesville High School, you guys notice their schedule. They play their first 5 games of the season on the road. Tough way to start out, especially that they've got some youth on that football team. But Ian Scott, I think, got them to 5-5 last year. They just missed out on a postseason bid in 2024. So I think they're still kind of building at GHS. But I think as the season progresses for them, I think they'll be in pretty good shape this year. Their quarterback actually has done pretty well for them. A guy that played a little bit last year, and I think that Sanford, I don't know if he got injured or not, but I noticed they brought a freshman in their last game, I believe it was. So, the jury's still out on GHS, but the fact that they're 1-1 right now and both games have been on the road, still a lot of football left to be played. But if they can kind of navigate their way, even if they're a game under 500 entering that home stretch, I think they'll be in good shape. Obviously, Buchholz is on the schedule down the road. East Side's on the schedule, so they still have to knock off their city rivals in order to have a shot at the postseason. But, district play, Vanguard looks really good. I don't see anybody knocking off Vanguard in that district.
No, absolutely. And you mentioned Nelson Trammell going to East Side. East Side, how about that against Rickards? I mean, just the way they pulled off that win.
Yeah, in fact, I broadcast their game the week prior, and the final score was okay. They won 30-7, but Gator was not happy with his football team after that win. They had a 21-0 lead at the half. Now Bellevue, I think, actually is improved. They've got a first-year head coach. I think that Bellevue might surprise some people this year. Certainly, looking at the score of their game last week against Fort White, a little bit surprising too. But again, Gator was not happy with the way his team responded, and he probably wasn't happy with the way his team played in the first half against Rickards, Tallahassee Rickards. But kudos to the Rams. They were down 19-0 at the beginning of the third quarter, and they came back to win that game. So they are 2-0. Here's an interesting stat for you guys. It didn't happen again this year. Gainesville, Buchholz, and Eastside. The last time those three big schools here in Gainesville went 2-0, it's been over 30 years. A big reason for that is because Buchholz plays Eastside typically at the beginning of the season. They're playing them here in week 3 this week, but Eastside held up their end. They're 2-0. Gainesville and Buchholz got beat. They're both 1-1. But kind of a weird stat when you think about, the success that we've had in this area with Gainesville, Buchholz, and Eastside. The fact that all three of them going 2-0 together hasn't happened in such a long, long time, and that streak is going to continue.
Absolutely. And let's go to the rural schools that are part of your coverage area, going like the Chiefland, Trenton, Bell, those particular schools in particular. But I think a couple of things that kind of stood out to me last week is Chiefland losing to Baker County, getting shut out 14-0 there. Trenton's rolling under Brian Fry. That's 2-0. That's a hot start there for Trenton. Really impressive start there for them. But Bell, who plays in the SSA Atlantic League, they're sitting there at 0-2, and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And then Dixie County, who was in the FIT tournament championship last year, Stephen Hall, they haven't even scored a point yet this year.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they haven't even scored. You're right. In fact, that's kind of what my article is going to be about on Friday, are these 0-2 teams. Who's going to be the first one to get that first win? But going back to – we'll start with Chiefland first. You mentioned them first. A wild win at Williston to win the Levy Cup in double overtime. Huge victory. Now, remember, last year – Chiefland beat Williston in the regular season, first game of the year. Then they lost to them in the first round of the state playoffs. That could happen again this year. Robbie Pruitt told me before the year began that this was going to be a work in progress. He expected, like last year, that by the end of this year, his team might be pretty good. And we know when Robbie gets into the postseason, watch out. They were just one win away from playing for a state championship. But, not to take anything away from that loss to Baker County. It's a bigger school, as you mentioned, 14-0. That doesn't really concern me. They got that Bellevue team that we just talked about coming up at home this week. Then they go to Mayo Lafayette, which actually will be really the true test, someone that's in their classification. And then how about Bryant Fry at Trenton? That is, to me, I think that's a surprise story in our area, to be honest with you, because Trenton, is a program that hasn't had a lot of success lately. Obviously, they won a couple state championships when Andrew Thomas was there, but what have you done for me lately? And, well, they've won their first 2 games, and they've done it in convincing fashion. They've outscored their 2 opponents 74-7. Bell and Dixie County, both those games were on the road. They've got Ocala Christian at home this week, Jefferson County at home next week. But to me, in my opinion, Trenton is the surprise team in this area.
Wow, absolutely.
Yeah, you look at Bradford, they had 2 shutouts. What's your impression to Bradford so far?
I mean, doesn't it seem like we're always talking about Bradford's defense? The Tornadoes, again, getting it done with back-to-back shutouts. I probably need to go back and research just over the last 3 years how many shutouts they've posted. It's unbelievable. But and they beat Baker County, who we just talked about, that beat Chiefland. They beat them 24-0. They beat Dunellen on the road 35-0. They've got South Sumter on the road. Now, this South Sumter team, I got a chance to see them last year. They're in the same district as Eastside. Let's see how they do on the road come district play against a good South Sumter team, which right now is off to a 2-0 start. But, that's a non-district game. Bradford is in the same district with Santa Fe, Palatka, Newberry, and Keystone Heights. But that will be a good test against a South Sumter team that is playing good football right now.
No, absolutely. Considering that after South Sumter this week, by the way, South Sumter coming into this season teed off after missing the playoffs last year. Bradford gets Mandarin on the road the following week, and that'll be a good grudge match, considering that Mandarin came up short in that game last year.
Yeah, no question. That'll be a good litmus test, if you will, for this North Central Florida area, because there's some good teams in Jacksonville, with Bowles and St. Augustine, and I know I'm leaving out Mandarin, obviously. Who else am I forgetting?
Rains is
Rains. They won the state championship game last year. Yes. I know Jacksonville's outside the Main Street coverage area, but I should know that a little bit better. But yeah, Rains Vikings. State championship game appearance last year. Right now, I would say Bowles maybe ahead of Rains, and then Mandarin's probably in that top 5 along with St. Augustine. So yeah, there's some good teams up in that Northeast Florida area.
No, absolutely. And with that said, Mike, we're out of time here, but I definitely appreciate you being able to join us here on the North Central Florida edition of the Blitz here on FloorHSFootball.com. And we'll talk to you more as we get rolling through the rest of the season and then towards postseason.
All right, sounds good. Have a great Friday, guys.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. That was Mike Ridaught from Main Street Daily News joining us here on the North Central Florida edition of the Blitz. Chris, there's just a lot going on here in the region.
Oh, yeah, and you can hear from Mike, and he knows his stuff. You got Bradford, you have Gainesville, you have, the whole kit and caboodle right there, all with good winning traditions, and we'll see how they come out in the next few weeks.
No, and that's only touching the cream of the crop there in terms of the teams. There's other teams that we didn't even get the chance to really talk about, and that includes like Fort White. We now talk about Santa Fe. Hopefully, we're going to maybe seeing some improvements out of Santa Fe, but we'll see as the season rolls along here things for North Central Florida, and we'll definitely have Mike back on. All right after this, after we take our 2-minute break here, we're gonna have the fan comments and questions, and then we'll have our weekly pick 6 for week number 30. We'll be right back right after this here on the North Central Florida edition of the Blitz.
High school sports fans, follow your team live with a free ScoreStream mobile app. Download ScoreStream to get real-time scores, photos, and awesome video. Plus, follow your favorite teams and friends. Get real-time high school sports from ScoreStream.
Box Out gives you the ability to create graphics at the speed of sports to highlight your athletic department, teams, and student athletes in seconds. Used and trusted by Notre Dame, Ohio State, UConn, Marquette, Georgetown, and many more of the top college brands in the country. If you want your school's brand to stand out through all the clutter, start your free demo at boxoutsports.com.
field and caught. All right, welcome back here to the North Central Florida edition of the Blitz here on FortHSFootball.com. And Josh Wilson here along with Christopher Light. Yes, we appreciate Mike coming on and giving us some insights on North Central Florida football. Chris? Can't hear you, Chris. Oh, your microphone. Oh,
we have your mic right out there. And
I couldn't hear you. You were muted. So go ahead.
You're muted?
No, you're muted now. You're unmuted.
Okay.
It was muted on my end for some reason.
Maybe he had something to do with it. But great interview with Mike right out there, and he's a wealth of information in the Gainesville area. So.
No, absolutely. And with that said, and some comments that are coming in that we saw here during the interview part, again, pre-recorded here. And I guess there's some college football talks in there in the chat. But Mark Gannon says, I was counting on the rain to turn that youth football field in Buell's plays onto a mud pit to negate Vero Beach's track stars. It didn't happen. Sorry. Yeah, that didn't happen, Mark. Mark says, don't blame the cat. Mike tactic as is the village's hype real, or are they winning games they're supposed to? Well, I mean, I think right now they're winning the games they're supposed to, but it also could be that there's an improvement there under head coach Richard Pettis, and we'll see how that goes. We'll see if it's the hype is real or if there's some other things going on when they go up against Southlake here this week. So. You know what time it is?
Pick six time.
It is time for the pick six. 6 games, 6 picks, 1 winner. It's time to make our picks for week number 3 here. And as we roll along here, ladies and gentlemen, we have 6 games on the docket here. And we'll start off with Gainesville 1-1 at Crystal River 2-0. And here we go. GHS coming off a loss to Davenport. Did open week 1 with a win at Aubrey Rogers. Crystal River, again, 2 wins here under head coach Chris Cook in his first year there at Crystal River. So let's see what's going to happen between the Hurricanes and the Pirates. All right, Chris. The forecast is calling for Crystal River 7 over Gainesville. Win probability, Crystal River 73%, Gainesville 27%.
No, I'm going to disagree with the computer here. I think Gainesville's got a better team than with like Crystal River. Yeah, they're 2-0, but I think Gainesville got a lot to prove in this next game.
You know, you'll take GHS. I have a feeling Reno would take GHS here just because I know him. I just know him about getting GHS. So even though he said probably I wonder if he would take Crystal River in this situation, but Emery Smith says he's taking Crystal River. Chris Cook, a lot of people are saying Crystal River here, but I there are some that are going to probably say GHS here. So let's see what happens here, and we'll go from there and see how it rolls. But Crystal River 7-point favorite over GHS in this one. All right, in our game number 2, Ocala Christian 1-0 at Trenton 2-0, and I think Trenton is on a hot streak right now. Ocala Christian, I think the computer's way overvaluing them because of, again, last year, and they haven't played really. The first game was against Weehawken in week 0. That doesn't count because Weehawken is still FHA, so that does not count on the record. And then game in week number 1, Scintilla Charter, that got wiped off the map, but they got the play here, and oops. Going too fast here. Let's see. Ocala Christian, a 25-point favorite over Trenton. Ocala Christian, 98% chance to win. Trenton, 2% chance. I got to say this here, Chris. My opinion on this one, I don't agree with the computer.
I don't agree with computer on a certain extent. I think it could be a lot closer than the thing is saying. But I do think Solar Christian can pull off the win in this game.
I gotta wonder if Reno would go Trenton or Acilla in this situation. If you see the forecast, he'd be like that, but I think he would reverse and go Trenton here, just based on knowing him. He was hot on Trenton at the start of the year, and I think he's gonna go Trenton. I'll take Trenton. I'll own it if he comes back at me about it. So, but I'm gonna take Trenton Trenton in a close one here. I think they're on fire. They're showing a lot of improvements under Bryant Fry, and we'll hopefully maybe we'll get Trenton on here as well. But Emory Smith is going Acilla Christian. So, all right. Forrest 1-0 at Trinity Catholic 1-0. The Wildcats versus the Celtics. Both Trinity Catholic's game at Melbourne Central Catholic. It was a 21-14 lead for MCC last week before the game got wiped out by weather. Forrest was on a bye week last week, and this is an interesting one. Return of John Brantley III back to Trinity Catholic, and he's going to be on the visiting sideline for this time instead of being on the home sideline as he was the head coach for many years there. But he's at his alma mater, and here's what the computer's calling for. The Wildcats to win by 7. Force 74% chance, Trinity Catholic 26%. What are you thinking?
I like this game here. I think John Brantley is going to come away with the victory over Trinity Catholic. Forrest will go to remain undefeated. So yeah, give me Forrest by maybe 3.
Yeah, and Mark Cannon put up a tree, so that signals that he is taking Forrest in his picks. So, yep, the Wildcats. And all right, we're going to go to a city showdown in Gainesville between Eastside and Buchholz. Eastside sitting there at 2-0, and Buchholz sitting at 1-1. All right, what do we do with this one here, man?
I think at the end of this thing, it's going to be 2 teams at 2-1, and Buchholz is going to roll over to each side by more than a couple touchdowns.
I'm leaning to Buchholz as well on this. I think they're going to win big. I think they're upset from last week. Buchholz 82% chance of winning this game. I think a lot of people agree Buchholz here. I think Eastside's got some talent, but I don't think it's going to be enough to overcome what Buchholz is going to have to offer against the Rams come Friday night at Citizens Field in this city showdown. All right, in game number 5, Florida High returns, who beat Hawthorne last year, by the way. Florida High is 2-1. Well, I got to say this. Florida High is coming off a big shellacking to Thomas County Central. So, I mean, Thomas County Central put up over 70 points on Florida High last week. That blew my mind.
Yeah, now I have questions about Florida High.
I have questions too, and the forecast, the computer is not liking Florida High right now. Not especially after that.
Yeah, it's going to be closer than that thing is saying, but I like Hawthorne to win, maybe. But this is going to be a game that's going to be won late in the 4th.
I think Hawthorne is going to go out and get a revenge match here, and they're going to get it, and they're going to show Florida High some things from that they did not have from last year, and they are going to win this one. By the way, you see that record, Florida High is 2-1. You're asking me a question probably as who is Florida High? Why is Florida High 2-1? Well, come to find out, their game against Godby in week 0 in the Kickoff Classic actually was approved to count on the schedule due to scheduling issues for both teams. So Florida High's game in week 0 actually counted against Godby. They won that game. So they're 2-1 on the season. Hawthorne 2-0. So just want to clear that discrepancy up if anybody asks a question. I should have been told about it counting, but some people dropped the ball on me and didn't tell me. So yeah,
that's where we just have this debate about week 0. So
yep. Anyways, Florida High, a 53-point underdog in this, but I don't think it's going to be 53. I think it's going to be a lot closer than that. But anyways, our final game of the Pick 6 is Bradford at South Sumter. Bradford 2-0. South Sumter 2-0. Bradford has pitched 2 shutouts, but I don't think this is going to be a game where they're going to pitch a shutout because South Sumter and Ty Lawrence is screwed. They're really good, and I don't doubt them here.
Yeah, I don't think Bradford's going to pitch a shutout, but I think they're going to win. It's going to be a game that's going to be close, but not that close.
No, absolutely here. And I think Bradford, they got a 72% chance of winning this game here. South Sumter sitting there with a 28% chance to win here. And honestly, Chris, this one's close. I got to take Bradford in a close one, but I wouldn't be shocked if South Sumter pulls off a win here because that's just how it goes at Inman Sherman Field in Bushnell. And yeah, it's just the way I'm going to roll with it. So, yep. Well, still, we got a couple of people taking South Sumter in this one. All right.
Interesting.
All right, that is the pick 6 for week number 6 here. And final thoughts, Chris, as we wrap this thing up.
Yeah, great interview with Mike Ridaught there. And, I think this week's going to be very interesting, especially with Bradford. You know, how long they can keep that undefeated, that unscored on streak there.
Yeah, we'll have to see here coming up here Friday night with the games and stuff. All right. One more show left for this week. The Panhandle edition of the Blitz coming up here in just a few minutes here. We'll have Irish Bill Hamill on for the interview. We'll see you then.